We're here with Sherri Mullen at the Vale Music Industry Conference at LVC. And to introduce Miss Mullen, she is the president and creative director of RDST Publishing. She has LLC, which includes the ASCAP, BMI, and CESAC publishing companies, representing a catalog of over 500 songs from talented artists and composers spanning the globe. As a publisher, Sherri has secured hundreds of placements in artist projects, film, television, commercials, and print. This former internet, radio, and TV show host is also a music supervisor, a music business consultant, a voting member of NARAS, the Grammy Awards, and an adjunct professor at Lebanon Valley College, where she teaches a music business course covering copyright, performing rights, publishing, and music licensing. Sherri has performed on stages from Nashville to Pennsylvania and has won awards for songwriting, performance, best new album, and female vocalist. Songs from her 4 independently released CDs have appeared internationally in film, television, and radio. So how are you today, Sherri?
Very tired. See, we're not used to being up this early in the morning, as you know. This is like a musician thing. Usually you're not awake till about noon. I think the people behind the cameras here would probably agree with me if they were allowed to talk. But no, this is good. That's hard to follow. I think we've said it all. Are we done?
No, not quite. I would first like to ask you, as a female, what is the most difficult aspect in the music industry to overcome?
You know, I used to think that as a female, it was impossible to be in the music industry and have any kind of authority in the industry, because I think there was a time that we weren't taken as seriously. But in my former career as a systems engineer, it was the same kind of thing. It was a male-oriented career path, and there were very few females in there. And so for some reason, I don't know, I've gotten really used to working with men, and, and I've been accepted. And, any of the challenges that I might have had at the beginning of getting into the music business as a career, they seem to have dissolved in the last 5-6 years. And I think it's not so much, is there a speed bump to be a female in the music industry as how much are you going to put into it? Because whether you're male or female, you have to put in the time.
Right.
And if you put in the time and you do the work and you're open to being social with everybody, you're going to be successful. Really, I thought this industry was going to be very, very tricky, and it just hasn't for me. So maybe there's even advantage being a female. I don't know.
Right.
There's probably some advantages to it too.
Right.
But I don't feel restricted at this point at all because I'm a female in the industry. And like I said, I really think it's all about just doing the job and networking and making friends. And the majority of my colleagues are male colleagues. I know that Paula Savastano was just interviewed, and she's like one of my dearest friends, and she's one of the few females that I know in the industry. Most of them are men, but they're all my buddies too. So I think you just get out there and everybody's kind of on the same level, and you just do your job and get the respect, and you don't. It's not an obstacle.
Yeah, work hard.
That might just be me being positive though, or sleepy. I'm not sure which.
I'd also like to ask, what would be the first step in creating your own publishing company to the average ambitious?
Well, what's really strange? And maybe this is a kind of a. I told you we were going to get off topic. Here's where we get off topic. I never set out to be a publisher. I worked IT for 15, 17 years, and I was a geek, still am, really, a nerd, love everything technical. And but I played music, and I wrote songs. And it got to the point, actually my turning point was in 2000, I had a dear friend of mine pass away. And I realized that life was short. And I had all this music in me that I kind of did it secretly. And so I said, I want to get this music out there. And so I never said I want to be a publisher. I never knew what publishing was at that point. And what I did was I put out an album. And in doing that, I got through the album and I was like, okay, now what do I do with this? Okay, I'm going out and I'm playing and singing this stuff. But, ultimately you want your music to kind of live on. And so how do you do that? Well, I'd really like to get, something in film and TV. How do you do that? Well, you get a publisher. And that's what they do. So I submitted things and got turned down a lot. And then, I learned how to do it myself. I joined NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association, and we had a gentleman come in. His name is Bob Della Posta from Nashville. He came in. We brought him into the area to do this publishing workshop, and I thought, wow, that's everything I need to know to get my songs placed. And I loved the organization so much that I volunteered. I think you can get very far in this business by volunteering for everything and anything you can. And so I got to be really good friends with him, started pitching my songs, and started learning the business basically from the ground up. I had no clue what it was. Then I began to teach it to the other people in NSAI because I wanted them to have that, to be empowered, to be able to do that with their songs. But I got frustrated because I started getting more and more leads for things, and I realized that my songs, I only had so many songs professionally recorded, they didn't cover the leads, and I thought, I know some people that have a song that would fit this. You know what? I'm going to start trying to bring some songs in and bring them into the publishing catalog. And I literally started out with maybe 20, 30 songs and just started kind of building from there. And the business side of it took off, and I found that I really love that. I love the creative side, but I love the business side too, and I kind of needed both of that to make me feel right. So, for me, building the publishing company, the first thing you have to do is you have to get educated about it, or you're in big trouble. And really, it's not going to come out of a book. For me, it came out of doing it. I did it. I made all the mistakes on my own songs before I ever said, I know what I'm doing now, and I'm going to take this on for other people. And so that's kind of how I started. And then having that network that you can ask the question, what is it I do next? Because you're not real sure when you're starting out. There's a lot of things going on. And, I didn't have the luxury of coming to Lebanon Valley College and learning that at school because I was an IT person.
Right.
So for me, it was, how can I network and learn these things? And those people became very good friends of mine and showed me the ropes. And, it just kind of took off from there. So truthfully, I think that if you want to be a publisher, if you know beforehand that you want to do it, you want to get educated with it. But a lot of people may just fall into it like I did.
Right.
Musicians that have their own albums. You can just publish your own stuff. You could just pitch your own music. That's where kind of I thought I was going to be, and it just didn't. It ballooned,
Right.
So, but you can, if you have a band and you want to publish your own music, do it. You don't need somebody else to do it for you if you learn how to do it right. If you feel that takes away from your creativity, which it will, because it pulls away from that creative time, then you want to get somebody else to do it for you. But, there's really no rule book for it.
Yeah.
I think you just have to really want and like the business side of things to even think about doing it. Because it'll take you years and years and years to build a network. And it's so slow.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Well, and we were talking about this earlier. I think it's really important for people to have the day job when they start out, because you're not going to immediately, okay, I'm going to be a publisher and now I'm going to get licensing. Ching, that's not the way it works. Not at all. No. It's a very slow burn for everything that you're going to do in this industry. So it's always good to have something else that you're doing. For me, it was going out and playing in bars and having the income from performing that kind of kept the publishing company going. That I always put more money into it than I get out of it, and I'm still at that point where I'm doing that. But, at this point, it sustains itself, and every little new thing that I get, it kind of pushes it to the next level, to the point where hopefully at some point, it will be the thing that is the main form of income. But right now I have the teaching, I have the performing, and I have the publishing. And those three things make up a music industry career, not just one, but all three of them. So I think a lot of people have the illusion that you can get out there and just start and boom, that's it. And all of a sudden that's your job. But it's one of the strangest industries ever for getting started. So, That was the long answer, but, hopefully that made some sense.
It's just like lots of times people say, I moved to LA and nothing happened.
Yep.
You can't just rely on being somewhere and thinking it's just going to happen.
Well, and people think you have to move to Los Angeles or New York or whatever to actually have some success in this industry. And with the way the internet has opened everything up, the playing field is leveled. You can do this from anywhere. Mm-hmm. Back when I started out, of course, I'm going to date myself here, there wasn't, people, well, before I did my first CD, everything was vinyl. Everything was in the record stores. Then you had the CDs, and basically it just kept evolving from there. And it was very hard for independent artists to do anything. Now we have these fantastic world-class producers, that are in our own area. You don't have to go to LA or to New York to find one. And they can produce a product for you that's fantastic, and then you go out on and can get it out there through all these channels digitally on the internet. So I think it's changed everything.
Yeah.
The digital landscape has absolutely changed the music world and continues to change it. So.
That well said. Well said. And my last question would be, and this is a very open to interpretation, what do you think of the current state of the music industry? That can be open to anything.
It's a zoo.
It's a
zoo.
It's a zoo.
No, I'm dead serious. It's crazy. I always tell people, I've had a lot of students in the past couple years telling me that they take my class and they're like, I think I want to go into entertainment law. If you can do that, if you want to do that, that is going to be the biggest growth area, I think, in the industry, because everybody's suing everybody. Mm-hmm. The copyright law is so outdated and so bad at this point because, years ago when they put this together, they never thought about the digital landscape. It just wasn't there.
Yeah. And
the technology has advanced it so far that at this point, there's just, everybody's suing everybody. I get these feeds from the Copyright Office. They're trying to change things about the law, but it's not happening quick enough. And every little thing that they change pulls in lawsuits from people. So I think that it's really wide open right now. Everybody's in there. It's getting super aggressive to the point that it's kind of like a mosh pit. People aren't as nice as they used to be in this industry because everybody's trying to go after, well, you now you owe me back royalties for digital stuff because that wasn't in my label contract, and now they're suing. People are suing. There's just so much going on right now, and it's all because of the internet and the things that are happening out there. So in terms of where it's going to go, I think that the next 5 years are going to be very exciting because everything's changing. That kind of leaves things wide open. I think there's a lot of new business models that are coming out of the woodwork, out of the needs that these changes are creating. The need to track music, the need to digitally fingerprint music, so that there's less copyright infringement, and so that payouts for performance and stuff can happen more efficiently. All that stuff is creating these new jobs, these new, for entrepreneurs, I think it's wide open. And there's, every year when I'm sitting in class teaching, I think of something new that I learned something and I think, oh, wouldn't it be neat to have a company that does this? So I really think it's a good time for people that can stomach that entrepreneurial kind of spirit. And it's a bad time for a lot of the people, 20 years ago that had label deals.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to fight to get what's rightfully theirs based upon the law. And as the law evolves, eventually that stuff will kind of settle down. And I think within 5-6 years, we're going to find a whole new landscape, a whole new set of rules, and hopefully everybody's playing nice by then.
Hopefully.
Because I hate all the lawsuits, but at the same time, if you like law, go into entertainment law because there's always going to be work with that, So I always say the WWW, World Wide Web equals Wild Wild West. That's what it is. It's crazy. So that's my take on it.
Well, thank you for your input. That was well said.
Thank you very much.
Before. So it was nice talking to you.
You too. And, I guess we need to find more coffee now and wake up.
Yes, we do.
Thank you guys for having me again. I really enjoy this conference. I think it's it's wonderful that you guys do this, and you know, so many people are coming in from the area, and all the things that you're offering. I constantly am, you know, telling people about it. Get up to this conference because I think everybody kind of wins from it. You know, the students are learning, but there's a lot of high school people that are coming in, and then there's all ages that are coming to this. So I think it's a great thing that you guys are doing, and I'm very proud to be part of LVC. Believe me, I really enjoy this college, this environment. So thank you guys for having me.
No problem.